Hey everybody, how you doing? Thanks for tuning in. Today we're gonna do a live drawing. I got my iPad plugged into this thing, hopefully. And I probably need some help with this drawing. I don't know exactly what I'm gonna do today. So we're gonna do it on the iPad. I've got an iPad Pro. I usually do drawing on iPad Pro on Procreate with an Apple Pencil. So this is kind of what that looks like. Procreate's this app kind of down here at the bottom. And I don't really have a idea of what I want to draw today. So I'm kind of counting on you guys. Yes, I see the stream, chat. I kind of bounced all the Corona jams. Not all of them, but all the ones I've really organized. I put all those in a little playlist for us today. As usual, if you see the link in the chat for the donations page, donating to Direct Relief to benefit COVID-19 medical response in the U.S. and outside the U.S. as well. So I could take some suggestions. Usually the way I start is just like in this app, you can start with you got layers here on the top right. Also brush library. I've made some of my own brushes here. But a lot of times, well, maybe we'll start with these this situation. So this brush, nice and dark, but you can also make it thinner by adjusting the brush opacity down. So then it's a little lighter. You can also do this thing where it'll straighten out, it'll smooth out your lines. So you see how that line kind of, if I do that with that pen, it looks a lot different than if I do it with this pen. See how wiggly I can make it? So those are two different things. So we're going to use those primarily today. I don't think I'm going to get into any coloring or anything. But yeah, for the sketchy part, let's just start with this. What do we have in terms of suggestion here? Draw me like one of your French girls. Sophie. That's funny. Happy little trees. Oh man. Mega Man? Oh dude. I used to draw. Here, I'll do my own version of a Mega Man. I used to draw Mega Man all the time. So Mega Man was basically, he had a round head and he had these eyes that were kind of like this. And this is a really crappy Mega Man, but almost that's funny. It almost looks more like an Animaniacs. But he had this thing on the side of his head like this, and he had a little his helmet went around his eyes, you know? And he had these sometimes he had these little things on his head like this and all that. So, let's do our own version of that. I am gonna try and keep the chat up here. I have to look at it on my phone because of the way I've set this whole thing up today. I'm gonna do it really sketchy for now. So I'm gonna start super sketchy. Actually, let's get his head. What kind of pose do we want to? I'm trying to think ahead this time and do what kind of pose would we want to do. One thing that's nice about this is you can grab any part and make it bigger or smaller. So I can like kind of move his head around here. I kind of want him facing the other way. Let's see that. That's gonna be his head. So I don't like the shape of his head though. Although I'm gonna erase some of it. So maybe he doesn't need to have eyes like totally like the old Mega Man. He should be pissed though. It's almost like a Deadpool Mega Man right now until we put that actual like pupils in. There we go. Now he's like super pissed. So this is gonna look really like horrible for a minute here while we get the shape of it going. I just want to get the basic shapes, lay in like basic shapes of what he would kind of look like here. Was this was this the Depeche Mode? This is the Depeche Mode one, isn't it? Corona Jam in the background. So these are his fingers. Kind of like his hand there. And then like, this is like a Mega Man villain. Mega Man villain. So Mega Man, for those of you guys that don't know, it was like one of the early Nintendo games, and there were a lot of. I mean, I don't know if it came out on. There were actually all these other Asian versions with like Rockman and all this stuff, all these different versions that didn't really become popular in the U.S. And so I didn't catch on to those like as they were happening. Like some people are like, you bring up Mega Man and like, oh yeah, this and that, like different storylines and all this stuff, and I'm like, wait a minute, I don't know about any of that. Yeah, let me check the chat real quick here. You can't hear me. Turn your volume on. You guys can hear me. Is Procreate on sale because I'm about to download this? That's funny. Yes, you can get. I'm not like sponsored by Procreate. I mean, you can get other apps if you like. So yeah, let's see. I feel like he's got a. We're gonna do a really like. He's a real villain here. This guy. Like that maybe. Okay, let's make him a little smaller. Let's move him right there. That's one thing you couldn't do in like on paper, right? Like little Dracula teeth. Like this is the inside of his mouth here. And we can zoom in and get a little detail on his like eyeballs. That. So again, what I'm doing in this stage is just like really just like sketching it out and trying to get some basic shapes. And what I'll do, actually, we'll just do this. We'll move on real quick. So let's say that's our just general shape of him. I could even like freeform, like make him wider or skinnier, or even like warp it, which is kind of cool. So if I wanted to make like his weapon like a little bit bigger here, I could do like that. And then maybe he needs to be like a little smaller there. And his feet can kind of come out a little bit here. There you go. Okay, so let's say that's our guy. And then what I'll do is I'll take this layer and then I'll turn the opacity down so it's really light. So that's our super sketchy first layer. And then over top of that, I'll do a new one to refine some of the shapes. So like instead of all this crazy sketchiness there, I might come in here and go, okay, I want these shapes to be a little more like this. Like his eyes. And still, this is still a sketch layer. This isn't like a final layer. I didn't have any of these tools in art school. Like when I was in school, it was like the computer stuff was really anything like digital was they had it. It just wasn't very accessible. I want to give him some like big eyebrows, I think. The eyebrows actually also help like create like the sense of like three-dimensional, like where his shape of his face is in space. Like if you put, for example, let me just do it real quick. If I put his eyebrows, like if his eyebrows terminate right here, then it flattens his face. Actually, maybe a little too far, but like if this lines up with this like there, then that says that the front of his like bridge between his eyes is there. But if I take him out further, if it goes like this, and that means the eyebrows terminate right here and right here, if that makes sense. So then you could do that and erase these guys. And it gives a little more of a sense of like, oh, he's got a forehead. So that means that these lines now are not quite right. Right? And that this kind of goes like this. And this goes like this. All right, so there's our shape of his top of his head. And again, still really sketchy, like not trying to like make it perfect. Oh yeah, his teeth. I really liked his like. He kind of has like a frog face. Let's give him a little flat nose. That's a very like. I think that's a very Mega Man nose. So here's his little teeth. This guy's gonna need a name. His tongue. Let's make his tongue like kind of sticking out. Kind of feel like he's kind of a little more vicious that way. And this is his chin. So his chin's coming out like this, and there's this other side of his cheek. That's his other side of his chin going up to his little like ear pod thing. These things are very like, I feel like the Mega Man aesthetic always had those like these like little ear pod things. I don't even know what they are, but this shape right here always happened in those characters. Yeah, we're kind of making our own thing now. This is kind of its own character, I feel like. What's that character on Overwatch? Diva? Has those like pointy things. Maybe it's too pointy. Let's do like this. That, and then another one up here. The reason I'm moving it around like sideways is because it's easier for my hand to like. Oh, he's all of a sudden he got like a buzz cut, like a weird like what's that dude Buzz from Back to the Future? Kind of like that. This is too big. Let's chill that corner out a little bit. Maybe like that. to me, that means that like the center line of his helmet kind of goes there. I'm not feeling that top of his head yet. Let's get rid of that. It needs to be rounder, higher. It's a little better. Maybe his whole situation up there needs to be a little higher. All right. What's up in the chat? Calves of steel. Is he gonna have calves of steel? Or are you talking about me? All right. So top of the head, we're gonna kind of do it like this. I'm gonna put like a little detail, like a little color. That's gonna be like almost like a stripe that goes across here. Yeah, so the tops of these is gonna have like a little nub on the top. I'm not like running out of batteries, am I? I'm cool. All right. LP logo on his head. I don't want to put a L. He's not an LP character. We do need like some of that there. Oh, let's make like these little beady eyes. Yeah. Oh, now he's like vicious. All right. So that's our. Now he's starting to look like. I imagine like little spittle like coming out of his mouth. He's nasty, this guy. For those of you guys who are tuning in a little late, I'm drawing on iPad. The program is Procreate, but you could use whatever. In terms of what I'm doing right here, none of these tools are really specific to Procreate. What I do like about Procreate is some of the other tools, like the coloring tools, and the interface is actually pretty good. Ooh, his shoulder got way too close to it, too high. But yeah, his Procreate is like, a lot of people use Procreate. I like this track the other day. I'm gonna really need to work on this hand. So everybody has their like stuff that their elements of their drawing and their whatever that like are easier and more difficult, or at least they've spent more time on and less. And hands are always. I always have a very stylized hand. I like hands a lot. Hands are tough though. Like, who was the artist it was a graffiti artist back in the day that I just love the way he did these really, like the hands were like this. Like, they were just big, round, like just like that. And I don't know what it is about that shape. Like, in terms, there's like the hand was basically a circle with like a thumb, like these little, I don't even know what to call them. Tentacles? Like, I don't know. But just something about the look of that with this kind of a character, I've always liked that. Some people hate it. And they can make different hands on their drawings. Let's see. This is upper. What should we put? Maybe we make like a fingerless glove actually on him. So this will be kind of like open, like an open thing there, and the rest of this will all be black. Oh, that's weird. Okay, maybe we do need to fix that hand a little bit. Give it a little more shape than that. A little bit. I think it's this pinky. Okay, maybe a little of that. That's a little better. 3 fingers. I read that Walt Disney did was it Walt Disney did 3 fingers on Mickey Mouse because it'd be faster to animate. Is that true? I thought I read that, but I don't know if it was Mickey Mouse. I'm thinking like, was it Mickey Mouse or was the story about The Simpsons? I think it's Mickey Mouse. The 3-fingered character has been around for much longer than The Simpsons. All right, so this is kind of the end of his chest plate right there. It's like his armpit in there. And then maybe this needs to be like a little bigger even. Like this. This is really like sticking that laser beam arm out at you. So that's the really Mega Man piece right there, right? Maybe we do, instead of doing like a straight up Mega Man like kind of thing, maybe it's like more, maybe it's a little more of a cannon. This is where it gets super sketchy for me. Oh, one other thing you can do if you want to get your really straight lines here, I'll just kind of push this back a little bit so you can see. So I'm just half erasing this so you can get a better sense of what I want to do here. So if you take a line in this software and you draw like this and you hold it, it'll straighten out. So that's nice to get some, at least what I'll do sometimes is I'll do these guides, and then I won't leave the actual straight guide lines. I'll draw over them with wiggly, like human lines. But it's nice to have like the guide behind it, right? So also though, you can do the same thing with a oval. So I could take that and say, okay, that's generally going to be like the shape. Oops. Reset uniform. So like, let's say that's the shape of like the end of the weapon. This right here. I need to turn it a little bit. Right? And then I can like copy. All right, how do I do that? I forget. Oh, I gotta hold down. Oh, I just gotta click on it, copy, and then I can paste it this way. And then smaller one down here. Let me do another paste. So yeah, like that. Let's paste one more and do a smaller one underneath here. kind of his weapon. I'm gonna flatten these down. So what this is doing, these are all on different layers. I'm just gonna like flatten those layers down to one layer. And then you can also like draw in, freehand, draw in a like selection like this, and then get your shape just the way you want it. So like this thing feels to me to be a little bit long, probably a little bit, it needs to be out here a little bit more, I think. And then again, like with this thing, I can take this, I can cut it, I can put it on its own layer, paste it, and then I can drop the opacity back to make it really light. And go back to my original layer, and now start like roughing in what it should actually look like. For most things, I like this, like, I like a little more human, like, line. So even though it's like, I know that it's wobbly and it's not really it's not like a perfect line or perfect shape. I like it better than the perfect one. Actually, I want that to be done like this, I think. So this is his like kind of like super cannon arm weapon. Maybe we put like a, maybe it needs like a little like almost like a clip down here. Like that. Another little detail here. Thing seems, this line seems wrong now. Let's actually mute or remove that other thing. Oh shit. Gangsta boogie. What are you saying on the chat? I want that drawing. The corner of his mouth. I think his teeth have to tuck back into his mouth. Yeah, that's better. His knee is a little too far over on this side. So his knee ought to be like right there. And then down to here. Maybe like a belt line right there. And then like this is his other knee. I like when the feet on something like this, I like when they are a little fatter on the bottom. Just like that. These have to be like, you have to be almost seeing this from overhead. This is going back in space. So it's probably more like that. This one like that. And this one's something like this. Okay, so that's our, again, we did another layer. So remember, like our first one was more like this, right? Really sketchy, and his like shapes were a little less defined or refined. Now he's a step more refined. Oops, I tried to grab a hidden layer. Now what I feel like when I look at him, I feel like he needs a little more, like he needs some more details. If I grab this layer that we were doing and I make him a little, I'm gonna make him a little smaller so that we can get into, so I can see the rest of his foot first of all. And then we'll do the same thing we just did, but we'll do it one more time. Probably, I feel like by the time we get through this one, we'll have a pretty good, refined version of this character. Oh, by the way, this thing that I just jumped into. So if you click on any of these pens, you could go in and change the way the pen acts. You can put you can make it wiggly. You know, make it look more like almost like an ink, or keep it really digital. You can taper the edges so that they're, you know, it falls off at the very edges to get skinnier or to get like lighter. It's all things that make it like one adjustment might make it look more like a pencil. One adjustment might make it look more like a marker. Right now, what I'm using is actually probably more like a pen, or just very digital. It's very like, I could go in and change to ink bleed. I think I got these ink bleed off of a True Grit. True Grit makes like brushes and textures, and so I think I got this from True Grit. But again, that one has like a little bit of like texture to it, so if you go in here really close, you can really see it, right? Which is nice. I don't know if that's my vibe for this particular character, but it's a cool line quality. This one's more marker. It's probably too thick. Yeah, let me just make that smaller. That's more like a marker with a little bit of bleed on the edges. Kind of nice. Okay, so I'm just gonna go with the straight-ish one. Now I'm switching to that one that has more of a that like smooths out the lines. See that? So this'll tighten up the lines a little bit, make them a little more straight. And I'll do that on the ones that I want to be straight. If I want anything to be like a little more, you know, wiggly, I'll switch. But like you can see how that still to me, that still feels like there's a human touch to that line because it's not perfect, but to me that's like ends up, you know, feeling like a clean, super clean human line as opposed to this, which is like very perfect. And I don't mind when the lines kind of like when there's this move right there where it's like overlapping and stuff. It doesn't bother me. All right. So maybe this is our like final line layer where it's like more. Maybe I don't need to do yet another revision line. Oh shit. The mark. Chicken call. So on these really like long lines right here, that's a good spot for the, you know, for this pen where it's correcting your lines a little bit. Really helps on the longer lines. Oops. Happy with the top of his head. I think I'm okay with it now. I wasn't a little bit ago. Ooh, that drop. One technique, this is actually something you guys should try if you draw digitally. And I probably actually should have done this earlier, but one thing that people do... Ooh, that's really ugly. Hang on. Let me actually get this straightened out a little better. Let's add a little detail on this guy. This thing feels a little boring. This is a good jam, huh? This is one of my favorite jams. So I think with his eyes, I'm gonna thicken up some of these lines in a minute. But right now, I'm gonna just leave it single, like just regular line length for now, but I think I'm gonna make some of these lines thicker. After I do his face, I'm gonna show you a technique, a little trick that I learned on the YouTubes. So get hype. You guys are not gonna be able to believe it. It's gonna be insane. Totally blow your mind. Ugh, so good. Actually, the one thing to see right here is originally I made this line like this, and then somehow in the like sketching of the last layer, it accidentally turned into this, which I actually like better. So that's one of the reasons why I do this process, is because it ends up being, you can get a little bit of the I don't know, happy accidents or whatever. Like you can just get a sense of what pops out during the process. All right. Oh. So here's his little, that's his head. So here's the trick, ready? When you're working on the faces or the like, especially faces, but if you're working on poses of characters, take your whole canvas and flip it. And you'll get, all of a sudden it tricks your brain, and your brain goes, oh, like there's something I liked about it facing the other way, but now I'm seeing it flipped, and it just looks different. Like your brain has been used to looking at it this way, right? And then all of a sudden you flip it the other way, and parts of it feel weird. Like to me, here, when I'm this way, it looks fine. But then when I flip it the other way, for some reason to me, I don't like the part of his eye right up here. I don't like it. So I go to the flipped version, and I can correct it. Bring that line in. His eyes also look weird to me. Something about this that I don't like. And this. And oh, I know what it is about this side. Well, actually, maybe I should just redo these. Let me just redo it. So that eye didn't follow like the contour of the outside, like the inside didn't follow the contour of the outside. And I didn't like that. And then also this little shimmery bit should overlap with the pupil. Look better there. Let's see that. I'm just going to turn this other layer off for a second. Okay. I like that better. I know what it is about this, the eyes. I want a little extra shape on the outside of it here. All right. You can also, on this program, you can grab the ink from the corner there and just drop it into a spot and it'll fill, which is nice. I like this, the Hybrid Theory demo came out cool, like very Hybrid Theory-ish, but it doesn't feel like the rest of the songs. Like it feels like it's on its own island. I feel like I just turned on a different album. Okay. Now it's starting to feel like, okay, I can see his eyes and everything. Should probably darken this background, or yeah, make this background a little more visible for you guys out there. And make it so light you can't see it. All right. So I don't want him facing this way. I actually preferred him facing the other way. So now I'll go back to the other way. I like that. Yeah, but I feel like that fixed his eyes. Like his face, his eyes look better. So moving down to his hand here. This is where I got to really clean this thing up. Little details like that, like a little bump, really indicates, oh, that's like fabric. You know what I mean? Like a little fold right here. And then maybe goes like this. And like this. These are his little sausage fingers. right, there's his kooky fingerless glove. Shape to these guys. So on this side, we didn't do on one shoulder. He's got like a shoulder pad, and on the other side, I didn't do that. So I've got to now try and make sense out of to like make his arms like symmetrical in a sense, in order to. Oh shit! Hang on one second. I don't know if I. There we go. Sorry. There you go. My setup is weird here. Okay, so he has like a. First of all, this piece of spit is going to have to move down to right here so that the arm can kind of go through it, and it'll make it stand out a little better. I think these need to be... There we go. All right, so let's see. He has almost like an armband. Then there's an extra one of these. I think I'm gonna make this part like recessed a little bit. Recessed into his cannon arm thing. One thing like people who first get started with these types of programs do accidentally is they keep changing their line weight. And that ends up, and then they finish the piece, and it's like, at least for something, the drawing like this one, like you don't want to do that, because then you'll have all this weird inconsistency all over the piece of like what appears to be like dark lines and light lines. I probably will go back in and do some dark lines, fatter lines, but not right now. Again, for me, I don't like the lines to be like, I don't usually want them to be perfect. Something about the wobbliness and the inconsistency of them makes it more exciting to me. You do you. You think the perfect curve looks better, then do that. Let's just take this out real quick and see. Yeah, it works for me. Got to give him like an undercarriage, like that's his like butt crack coming in the front side. As you go to, if you want to, it's nice to try and make sure you've closed in all of your lines. That way, if you want, you can go in and start to like pop color into it. Like I showed you before, like let's say this one is going to be greenish blue here, and you want to grab that color and drag it over. If your lines are closed in, it'll do that. But if there's an opening, it'll bleed out and go all over the place. So you could always undo it. It's just, you know, as you go, probably a good idea to just try and close in all the gaps. Cool shape, weird shape foot. So I'm seeing like this being that being like the top of his foot there. Maybe he needs a little something on his ankle. Hold up. Let's take out our sketchy layer and see how we're doing here. And then let's do a flip to take a look at it. All right, not too bad. Something weird about his neck right here. Something weird about that to me. All right, that's better. Let's add some like cool. Starting to give it a little flavor. All right, I think we need some like, those are like drop shadows basically. So I think we need some drop shadows. Can we get a, Lincoln Burt says, can we get a coloring book copy of this? I mean, you know what I'll do? I'll just, I'll leave it black and white and I'll put it on, Shen the Genius beat me to it. I'll leave it black and white and just post it. And I'll put it on, you know, Instagram and Twitter and whatever. But yeah, let me do these drop shadows and some other, you know, stuff. And I'll give it to you guys to, you know, play with. Yeah, so these little details usually make a big difference. Any place where you think a shadow would go, just fill it in there. Tempted to do the whole underside of his arm here. That's cool. I know I said I don't mind the overlapping lines. Sometimes I do. I'd rather have some of these pieces be a little more under control. Ah. I almost put black in there, but this little bit needed to be closed up. There. All right. Oh, I need some black on the top. Whoa. Weird glitch. Really getting zoomed in right now. Probably should back out a little bit. I have a tendency to do that. Start getting more and more zoomed in on things. All right. back sections on this guy. All right. All right. Flip him back. Boom. His eyes still need a little more definition. All right, I'm going to jump on a different layer. And I'm actually going to get rid of these other layers because we don't need them anymore. And on this layer, I'm just going to do some like little like, actually, before I do that, I want to put a little bit of dark under here. Okay, on our other layer, just a few like little details and things. This stuff, I feel like this stuff really just brings it to life. It's like, you know, just like little bits. Let's see how that looks. I don't know about that. Yeah, maybe so. A little flavor. The rogue eye hair. Now it actually makes him look like too pretty in a sense. Can't be. He's not a pretty villain. This gives the sense of the helmet being a little old. Having some dents in it and stuff. Right? A lot of these, like, it's probably smart now that I'm looking at this to do these, like, in the direction of the shape. like so this shape is kind of moving that direction. You know what I'm saying? These ones are going like this, as opposed to just putting them kind of at angles. This was a mistake. All right, there. That's cool. Maybe a couple like little like bolts or something in here. Stripe there. Cool. All right. One of the reasons why I put the the little like detail lines on a separate layers, so I can come back and erase them if I want. Just in case I do like a really dramatic, then it's like a little, you get a little more freedom to be like, you know, wild with your lines. Because at least in my head I go, okay, well I know that'll be a easy line to clean up if I don't like it. I should do this on the next layer down. All right, feeling pretty good on this one so far here. And we've gotten pretty far. So there's the character. Let's look on the chat. See what's up on the chat. Chicken song is back. So, one thing we could do. I mean, another thing I like to do. Just sometimes it looks nice. Up to you though. Is just put like an outline around the whole thing. Oh, you know what I should do? I should do this. He needs to be blasting something. So let's just give him like a. This I will actually keep a straight line. Like that. Let's make it there. And there. I'm gonna close it in so that I can put a white fill inside it here. Yeah, there we go. Actually, maybe there I want to get rid of this line. Chicken drop. Yeah, that looks nicer. Yeah, so I was gonna say one thing that I do. Actually, let me just do. Can't just leave it alone. Let me do a couple other little lines in this laser beam. We'll do that. And then let's do an outline around his whole body. So this is just for like effect. It's just something you would fill in with a separate like accent color basically for when you guys are coloring this in. Helps them stand out. I don't know if this was like a comic book trick or like a graffiti trick first. But it works. I like how it looks. Question here is, do we outline the spittle or not? I'm gonna say not. Pretend the spittle is not part of his glow. All right. Did you guys notice I put a little delay on the Mario coin noise, or whatever that noise is? Boing, boing, boing. All right. The thing about this that I've kind of messed up with here is that I did a bunch of white. And if I was doing this, to color it, then I wouldn't be able to get away with that because, is it all on here? Yeah. I think I'm gonna merge these two and try and remove this white. Forget how that's selection, automatic selection. Let's see. Yeah, it does that. And then I can clear it. No. Do that, and then come out here. What do I do? Clear? Oh, but there's little like white marks now. Oh well. All right, since this is just for coloring, we'll just leave it as is, but normally I would clean that up if I was going to be coloring it myself. All right. Cool, you guys. These are almost like bits of his aura coming off. Again, just like little extra flavor I like to add. Cool. Let's do like a little background behind him. Maybe I'll just have him on some like explosion behind him. Coming from probably about right here. Yeah, I think that spot. So I'll just do like this. Boom. Boom. As I get into a spot like this, I want to make sure I really like where the line is cutting through things. So that it's not like, I don't want it to be right there. I think that's a weird spot for it to cut in terms of like the composition. I want some to come through his armpit because it like highlights the space there, like the space underneath his, that there's a hole basically. This is almost like a spider web. Again here, it's like, where's that line gonna end up? Need a couple more that are a little close together here. Then I think we're good. What I'll do is do that, and then I'll remove all the stuff on the inside. So basically going with my eraser here. And erase out all this stuff. All these bits. I'm gonna get it a little bigger. Cool, so that's about it. I mean, hope you guys enjoyed the drawing demo today. I'll be back with some more music, another music jam tomorrow. I didn't even look to see if the, after we do this, I'll look and see if we have a winner for the, probably don't. We haven't had anybody get to enough points to do the, oh shit, I missed a spot on this outline bit here. Hang on. I missed this. Oops. There. So I was saying, yeah, we haven't had anybody win the choose the next jam prize yet. I'll check after we're done with this. After I'm done with this cleanup here, I'll check and see if somebody's won that. So if you're holding on to Shinoda Bucks, now's the time. Get to choose the jam theme for tomorrow. Right, almost there. I used to draw like stuff like this. This was like my go-to when I was a kid. I would draw stuff from video games and stuff like that. So Mega Man, Mario, Metroid. Lots of M games apparently. Let's see if we've got our. Yeah, so I can see a couple little spots where. Oh, that's actually on that level layer. Ah. So cleaning stuff up over here too. No. Okay. I think it's all cleaned up. All right, I should sign it, huh? I'll give you a little, I'll sign it on the bottom. Studio pen? MS pen. How big is this? I'll sign it down here. All right, so there's our guy, our crazy. Thanks to whoever said Mega Man in the beginning of the live stream. I'll upload this to Twitter and Instagram. And you guys, I'm sure it'll be easier to download from Twitter, but you guys can print it out and color it and tag me in your results. Put your results up on Instagram. I feel like that'll be a better place to see them. What should we tag? I feel like we should hashtag it or something. Should we tag it? Oh, somebody said rough lines through the spittle. Thank you. Thank you. Hold on, let's find out if there's any other mistakes. Any other spots? Any other mistakes? Corona Man. Mega Mike. Maybe let's do a hashtag that could be like that we can use with any drawing that we do on this stream. You know what I mean? Mega Mike. If we put, what if we draw? I mean, what if we draw? You know, other stuff. Ooh, lots of suggestions. You say Shinoda drawings. Corona coloring. Mike draws on Twitch. Corona art. Should we do Corona art? Corona art. That's the one you guys are. I see a lot of Corona art, Corona draw. Corona draw. Okay. Corona art makes sense. Actually, Corona art will be a problem because is it one A or two A's in the middle? CORONART. Let's do Corona draw. Let's do Corona draw because then that won't be confusing. Corona draw. Okay, so so put hashtag Corona draw, tag me in it, and hopefully I'll see your colored your versions of this thing colored in. I mean, hopefully. But yeah, thanks you guys for joining me. Ooh, bad posture. I feel like I've been like hunched over for 2 hours. Oh wait, I have been. Oh, gotta stretch. Post-drawing stretch. Drawing wheel. No, fuck the wheel, man. Yeah. But that was fun. Thanks for joining in, and I'll put this up right now. Maybe I'll text it to everybody who's on the text thing too. So there'll be a, yeah, we'll do that. Okay, thanks for tuning in, you guys. Tomorrow, back to music, and oh, I'm supposed to look in and see if anybody won the choose the theme, ask questions. Oh my God, so many questions. We're gonna have to do a day where it's just answering questions, I think. Because it's so many questions. Maybe I'll do that. Yeah, it's all questions. Nobody wants to save their bucks and choose the theme. All right, so I get to choose theme again tomorrow and 10 o'clock. I will see you then. Thanks for watching. Farewell.